Hey guys, how's it going? All okay?
Hey, Dhanu. Yeah,
Hey,
Hey,
Shardul.
Dhanu.
Hey,
going man.
Hi, sir.
hello all. So there are some familiar faces, names. Mahmoud Anas, welcome man, good one.
Hello, Dhanu.
Hey,
Hello, sir.
hey Rupesh. Rupesh is well known. Jayant, hey Jayant. Saurabh, cool. Good guys. Adelson, Vishal, Srinivas, Prakash. Okay, cool. Not bad. Is this actually winning guys are here? Those two guys. Actually, anyway, it's recording, so it doesn't matter. They can actually watch it later as well.
Oh, so you are going to upload that to YouTube, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they're gonna watch it anyway. So it would be nice to understand, like, what's their workflow is and how they actually followed. So I need to ask them a few questions. How did they win it? How did they do it? It's fine. So let's see who can win. So are you all animators or like aspiring animators, or I know a few people around, who are animators already.
Yeah. I am currently an intern at Technicolor.
Oh, intern in Technicolor. Good job. Nice one.
And I am currently in Whiskey.
Oh, okay. This could be. I heard this name somewhere, man. Sounds good. Yeah. Anybody else working anywhere? Yeah. Not everybody working. Okay, cool. Yes, I try now. Cool. Let me see what's on my screen. Share that. Great. I think somebody have a fan sound going on. Can I mute them or see if you can mute yourself maybe? Somebody have a fan sound going on. Not really sure who are they. Yeah, sorry, I muted somebody, so it's went off. Cool. There you go. So I'm just gonna run through a few people. Okay, great. So what do we have here? What do we have? We have this guy. Gorilla guy. First of all, sorry, apologies. Like last month I was not able to give the review, but we based on because there's a lot of studio work and it's kind of went on for quite a while for a bit of too much hectic work. But yeah, so now we're back on the track. So yeah, so this is March and this one is April. May is this month, right? Yeah. I forgot months also now. See, this is what happens. Life of animator. Don't even remember the date sometimes. Yeah. So, great. So let me play this one. This one is Karim, right? So Karim, congrats, man. Well done. I'm guessing he should be here. He was talking to me like half an hour back in the LinkedIn. So I hope he'll be around. Oh, and this one is Dipesh Acharya or Chapia, D Chapia. I think I have seen his name. I don't remember if I have actually connection, but I think he's animator in AniBrain, I think. Is he around? Are you there, man? A winner guy? No, both of them are not there. Cool. That's quite nice, actually. I like it. What do you guys think? A bit lively, isn't it? Great. If you have any questions, you can drop it here. But again, I will see if I can read towards the end of this session, so then I can answer. But yeah, great. Is Karim here yet? No. I just want to start with him if he's around, just to understand what's his workflow. No, Karim is not. I think. Okay, cool, great. Okay, guys, so let's jump in. So, yeah, hey Karim, I'm gonna address you, invisible man. You're not there. I'm gonna just address you as well. I don't want to talk to camera. A bit funny. Yeah. So this is looking great, man. I like it. Really good job. So there are a few things we could actually improvise when we actually see this a little bit more with a big magnify lens, which I like to do because I'm kind of like I like to do that with even my artist as well, so make sure that they're actually hitting the right notes in the right way. So cool, awesome. So I know that I have actually spoken to him that Sheikh Anas, sorry, not Anas, Karim mentioned that Muhammad Karim mentioned that he missed to address this, like mainly like they don't actually walk, they walk on the knuckles, right, like this, but not really like this. That's one of the biggest thing which I kind of mentioned when he contacted me personally in LinkedIn and stuff. He said like, oh, I kind of realized that after I uploaded this, and he didn't realize. But this is by the way for everybody, guys, like if you can actually drop your work in progress version till the end of the day, end of the month, you still have if you want one day sort of buffer, because in the time zones, you could ask me, like I could ask a website guy to like just tweak the time for a half a day here and there, but you can upload a number of version, you can replace your own version also, so there's no doubt. So he thought Karim thought he can just only upload one version, but he can't upload another version. But that's not true. So you can kept on like every day also, if you want, you can upload every version, not a problem, as long as improvising. But yeah, so feel free, guys, like there is no hard rule. You have time till end of that month. So but great. So yeah, so one main thing was normally they really like, if you see the reference, right, look at that. So that's how that's how they kind of really look into it. They're not really, if you see, that's sort of a thing, right? So it's not really like we are actually here, we don't do it this, we do this, like those guys do this. So that's sort of that's why you have such a huge with the ankle and stuff. Like if you see this sort of shapes, they're mostly like the gorilla sort of a monkey sort of a shapes, right? So yeah, so that is something I would definitely look into when you're animating this guy. Overall, globally, animation wise is fantastic. Maybe it's a too complicated creature, or it's a too complicated animation, so you might have missed to add a bit more details, or maybe the time is not enough in that month managing your work and this one as well. But so far it's fantastic job. I really don't want to pick few things that which could be a time constraint also, like you might not have the time. But yeah, so you must be knowing this already, but I just want to put it out there in case of any junior guys, anybody hasn't animated this guy before, might be helpful for them. But yeah, looking great. So yeah, the first thing is walking, knuckle walking is something really, really crucial, right? That is something I would definitely try to put that into workflow. Like if you can see just to give you a bit more idea when, right, how they land the feet. There you go. Check this out. Check this out. So that is something like they tend to do when they're actually walking, even this one, right? See that? So make sure that they have such a beautiful shape. Even for us, there's such a beautiful shape of a really good arc, right? And when they're actually doing it, so they kind of really stress them. I'm going to break my knuckles now. But it's going to be like really like that's really good shape. So aim for those shapes when you're actually animating these guys. So they can be really, even I think the most of the rigs should support, but I don't know how this rig is, but most of the Truong rigs are fantastic, anyway. But yeah, sometimes like, production houses rigs, I think. So you have a really good controls come from in there, as well. So yeah, it should come from rig most of the time. You don't need to really worry about it. But yeah, so try to keep that, in mind when you're animating. And second thing, when I was actually watching this, if I see the bum, right, the hip, it's kind of grows on its own, which is, I know that you're trying to get a smooth shapes and stuff like, but when I see the guy here, it's fantastic, looks really good, right? And after a while, suddenly the whole shape grows up, but it's really smooth and nice when I see animation. It's a great animation. But most of the time in VFX, you don't really use stretch and squash or move things out of the proportion because of muscle simulations and fur and the realistic simulations, right? So we don't want to do that. Like if you see here, so is this the same guy here? It looks like slightly different from like what you have here to what you have there, right? So I know that they are like kind of really a good straight, like they are like, now it looks like very humanish right now. So human have that sort of a S-shaped spine, but these guys have a bit of a C-shaped spine. Basically you get to see this shoulders and pecs because of this muscle, right? It's the muscle looks like that, kind of grow up when they grow as an adult, but it's not actually a sort of a yes spine mainly. But again, it should come from the rig, it's not something. But again, it would be nice to sculpt our shapes. It's always nice to understand the reference and sculpt our shapes, which is good. But what we don't want to see is like, if I see here, it's such a long, really good spine, right? They have most of the time. When you see comparison with the human, and this is something I would really like, to know, like when you see the skeleton of these guys, they have such a really good lengthy spine and longer legs than human. I'm just comparing human because of we're all same species, but we all evolved in a different way. But comparison wise, most of the time, every time we compare with the humans, right? We are humans, so they have a really long, lengthy, arms and shorter legs. So that is something we always have to like keep in, like maybe otherwise I can say. Yeah, if you see this, right, so you could actually make out, like, look at that. So look at the spine, such a long spine, and look at the length of the arm, such a long length, right? And the really short legs. So hence you have, if I see that, so hence you have, look at this, the proportion here, right? Look at the proportion are, of course, the always the bendy legs most of the time because of the nature of the bone, but length of the spine and length of the legs that compared to human, it's much more different than. But again, we have such a long arms, but we don't have long arms, right? So basically it's the what do you call, we have evolved in such a way that we don't really walk in a four legs, we walk in a bipedal structure. So that's why even if you're walking still, like we have built the houses, stairs and everything, not really walking on the four legs, right? It's always the two legs. So we have changed our lifestyle, evolved going forward. That's why we lost that lengthier muscles and the structure mainly, which is like supporting these guys. Otherwise, like we're always like trying to like everything, like sitting sofa, like walking, all the circumstances what we build right now, it's all for like just walking with the legs but not with the four legs, right? So that's how we evolved. That's why we don't actually do. I saw there is interesting documentary about this is a female, I think she does a really good job of imitating gorillas, like how the human would, I don't remember the video. It says like how it would look like a human walks in a four leg, why we evolved in such a way and why we don't walk in a four legs. It's a really good video. I don't remember. If I find something, I'll put it on a CAW website, but yeah, in the LinkedIn page. But this is such a good documentary. It kind of opens why we don't walk like that and how did we evolve and stuff. But yeah, so those things are really good to understand. But yeah, it's good to understand like how the structure of human, and look at this is what like an entire C shape, right? So this look like S-shaped spine, right? So we have S-shaped, but not them. But when you see in the animation, it feels like that. So it's always nice to, it's just that they grow that sort of like pectoral muscles and shoulder blades and this sort of like really that's why they look like that, but they're not really like look like S-shapes. But yeah, just keep that in mind when you're shaping. Like I know that I always wanted to put my shapes in the animations, not just the computer gives us. So it's a really good job, but it's just a matter of time, like to understanding that what comes from, like if you see, that's a pure muscle, right? So that's a pure muscle there. So but still internally the whole spine is still this, right? So that is something we always have to look forward to have in mind. But yeah, that's a great job there. But this is just to understand. I'm not just going to give you like click here, click there, tweak this, tweak that. It's not those comments. It's mainly to understand why are we animating in such a way and why are we posing in such a way, like, you know, an animal, or it has to feel like the same, you know, ape, right? It's not just an, but again, we understand, we wanted to, you know, understand the movement. Every time we watch reference, don't copy it. Please do not copy anybody, everybody, like, you know, don't copy it. Like, you know, if you're animating that reference for a half a day, 10 minutes, take your time, watch the reference like a million times in the 10 minutes, like see how much hour you can do, and understand how the spine moves, understand how the chest moves, understand how the legs and, you know, feet moves. It's always good to understand what's going behind the body mechanics, you know, what's in there, like why, what we are actually observing from them, not just copying the shape to shape, right? So then it's going to be helpful for applicable, you know, you can apply the same principle in any other animals or creatures. It's going to be the same basically, like, you know, so try to get into that habit of analyzing the reference, not just copying the reference. Don't copy the reference. Copying reference, it can solve you the purpose in any, then and there for deadlines, but that doesn't really help you, like, you know, if your animation supervisor and the VFX supervisor ask you, why did you do that like that? For don't know, it was in the reference, you know, so that's a really bad answer, right? So yeah. But yeah, if you know why they're doing it, then it's going to be really, really simple and easy. So yeah, to actually to achieve the same essence into animation. But yeah, other thing, when we're trying to do this sort of a shapes, right? It's like, you know, if I see, like, you know, that's the middle ground if I take, right? So gravity wise, it's actually off gravity. So you're gonna really, you know, fall this on this side because you are actually standing. That's the same line. What we had here, what we have there, it's the same line, didn't really change anything, right? So if you're lifting any leg, so you have to shift your weight and then lift your leg, right? So it's a really basic thing, you know. We always tend to, like, you know, kind of, okay, to forget it, you know, we overlook it, but it's always good to have shift the weight. Imagine like this would have been much more interesting to, you know, push the weight and then, you know, bring him to this side and then lift the leg. Like if you see any yoga poses, right? I don't remember if you see yoga poses, because you're going to stand in the pose for super long, right? So any poses you take, like, you know, look at this bit here, right? So look at this, that's a triangle, that's a triangle, that's a triangle. You balance it really well when you're actually on a standing poses. Let's say, look at this. So if I draw a line here, I don't know if I can draw, yeah. So if I draw, so that's the middle line, that's the balance, right? That's a good triangle, really good triangle. So when you see like anything, everything, like, you know, if you take this one, look at this, that's a triangle, right? So if you see this, that's a triangle, that's the right balance if you draw middle of the line. But when you see this guy, it's it just kind of, you know, look at this. If I draw a middle line there, so it's not really balanced. So you have to like shift the weight a little bit more. So that's your triangle, right? So you have to shift the body, shift the weight, then you can lift it. It's always hard. Like if I'm standing like this, I can't just let it go, right? So I have to shift the weight and then I can lift. And then I shift the weight and then I can lift. So always nice to have the weight shift. I don't know, you see, if you see the reference, look at that. The whole body is like shifting towards it. So now, if I can actually draw the line in the middle of the guy, right? It could be like this. So you still have a good balance going on in both the sides. So that is always really, really important to have that. So which we kind of, you know, missed it in this one. So it would be good to have that, you know, look at this, it's kind of look like, if I actually drag it like that, if I see half of the thing, it looks like he's standing on the both the legs. He doesn't look like he's actually, you know, standing on the one leg, right? It's always tricky. So yeah, make sure that, you know, you shift the weight and then do the sort of things. And the second thing, there's a lot of, you know, what we don't want to do is, like, I'll play for a bit, you know, you observe if anything we can improvise. Most of the time, you know, it's very hard to what you call, you know, not to animate the rest of the, you know, reactions of the body, right? So I mean, like, it's easy to like have this, but what are these guys are doing? Like, you're animating these guys, it's absolutely fine, you're dragged by that, right? So where is the rest of the motion? Like if I'm like this, if I really pull faster, you have this, right? That you have this, the rest of the body reacting for it, right? You know, it could be the arms, it could be fingers, it could be the rest of the, you know, that's something here, like, you know, you're doing this is great, but where is the bounce back of drag, and the bounce, the fingers are not really hitting at the same time like this. It's kind of really just like pose to pose, right? What we don't want is this. You don't hit exactly what do you call it, 100% like the same time, like boom, like drop like this, right? You kind of go like this. You're gonna land on this little finger and then this, right? Kind of boom, 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 like this. It's not really like one pose, two pose, one pose, two pose. So break that down. So while you're breaking, then you're gonna have this little finger landing and then a bit of a drag on them, and then you kind of bit of that, right? So it's kind of when you play in a slow motion, you have everything going on. When you don't animate something, that's dead pixels basically. Like if I see this, the shape here doesn't change at all. So when you have the dead pixels like that, right? So it screams CG, right? So we try not to make it look like a CG, right? We try to make it look like a bit more realistic. And again, it could be the time constraint that you didn't do it, but it's always nice to have those constraints, those breakdowns. Otherwise, it's going to look very rigid, and we don't want to make it look like rigid, right? So that is something I would definitely look into. Yeah, imagine like, such a beautiful motion going on. It just, this bit feels very rigid. So imagine if you had a bit of really nice, I don't know how is the reference, you can actually still see in the reference, I think. Yeah, of course, these guys are actually moving, but because of the fur is overlapping a lot, it's actually hiding the basic movements on these guys, right? So look at that. Even this, right? Just not like this, kind of landing on this edge and this, and then coming out, boom, 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 right? So, and then this variation on the fingers, right? How they're gonna act. So that is something always nice to have that. So yeah, and every time you move, this is the problem with the rigs, right? So they're all, sometimes the efficient rigs can be like, you have this autoclavicle things, we just leave it, sometimes it's there, it's not there. But I would say it's not only the rigs, what we say, just blame the rig, it's not the rig, it's us also, right? When I'm trying to move something, like I'm trying to lift my hand, right? So it's all like, if you see, like you might not be able to see my hand, but you might not hear me. But if I'm trying to do this, it starts from here, right? So this is where the energy kind of like pulling the whole thing, because of the entire, hand, arm is connected with this way, right? So it's very hard to lift the thing without moving that guy. Can you guys do that? You have to stress, like you have to hold your muscles so much on the shoulders to, lift that, but so try to be a little bit more natural. I know there's a bit of a side motion, and then that's it. After that, the reaction for this, like if you see my creases on the t-shirt, right, you could actually see like how they're actually moving when I do this. So that's the response we are looking, right? So if you don't respond this guy and leave it there, and because of it's a very easy puppet, right? Like you can move this anytime, but always try to connect your elbows, try to connect your shoulder for your arm movement, hands movement. Don't just leave it like just because of the rig like that, right? So just try to connect all the way to where it's actually gonna react. And again, even if I do this, if you see my chest, like if you see my hand here, it's kind of moves. If you see this line here, right, kind of moves, right? It's not just, I can't just do the on its own, it's going to be painful, right? So just give the reactions on the chest as well, like it's going to be like a bit of a this as well, right? Not just leaving there. So these are simple things, but that is what going to put your animation into the really good spot. Otherwise, it's going to look like it just end up like animation, right? So let's say average animator is there. That's a good animator, right? So these are the things, like, like you say, you have done 3 weeks on this one, and you're going to do 2 weeks on this, or maybe like 1.5 again. You don't see much difference from there to there, but you could feel the animation, you could feel the realism, you can feel the details, right? If you show the same thing, like after this, like it's the same thing what I saw 2 weeks back, right? What did you do? You don't really see huge difference in a global changes, global sort of strokes, but those little minor details actually make you to feel where you don't actually see the details, but you feel the details, right? So that's the difference between a good animator and animator, right? So that's what I feel like always, like we wanted to push that bar slightly high when you're actually animating. Well, of course, time consent for the companies and the studios a different thing, but at least when you're animating for your personal stuff, I would recommend, because end of the day, when you're applying somewhere, big companies, they wanted to watch these details, like how far you have gone that extra mile to make it more realistic. So yeah, so go for that. That would be really nice to understand. And boom. Yeah, and again, like, this is something like most of the people really misses, like after a bit, right? Body goes to stiff. You see only the animation going around there. But it has to like contribute towards, like, he's not just come there and lock there and he's going to do this, right? He's going to look around. He's going to, like, you're just turning around. You can't just stop there. You just have a bit of a swing and then come back. So don't stop anything just like that abruptly. So try to give a life, I think. Let me see this guy. Yeah, look at that. So as soon as this guy leg is looking around, this guy's like kept on going, he's not really stopping. The momentum of that is kind of really giving the great body mechanics of, overlapping and coming, because all connected through the spine, isn't it? It's not just, just a stiff body. So try to have that sort of overlap. Like if you see that guy, just observe only the head, right? Look at that. It's constantly like, kind of just constantly have that sort of a really good swing and then coming back. He's not really just stuck there and the rest of the animation is happening. So yeah, that is something I would definitely, and again, it kind of, look at this, kind of really goes very well with the body language and, the sort of a leaning arc and the rotation as well. So those are the ones, like, if you're honest with your weight shifts and the momentum, like speed generation, it's going to be like, work out really well, so those are the ones, we don't want to just ignore, so try to keep that in mind. And another thing, how are we, like, this is something most of the people also ignore, like, and this is something really basic also, like if you observe, like, what we don't want to do is same speed. Like if I'm actually trying to bring my hand up and going down, don't use 5 frames. It's going to be boring, right? So you're going away from the gravity, right? Going away from the gravity, and you're coming to the gravity. While coming is faster because there is no resistance. While you're going, you need to generate, so it takes at least 6 to 8 frames, hold for a bit, and then while you're dropping, it could be like probably 4 to 5 frames, just make the variation. It doesn't have to be 6 frames. That's boring. That is something I would really look at. Right now, in this case, you are shifting the weight and it takes some time for him to peel off from the ground. He takes all this and it kind of slowly starts, and then once he's in the momentum, then you can go faster and then hold for a bit and then drop faster. What we don't want is the same timing. This is not just because of that leg. This is for every body part, with every creature and animal. So try to keep that in mind all the time. Like, how are we using our limbs, like, especially when they're going. Same thing with the tail. Any tail, if you go back and watch any tiger or walking, any animal reference, make sure that even like, well, the tail does like faster, and then when it goes up, it's kind of slows down, then faster, and then it's kind of really good texture there. It's not really like that's bad. So understand the concepts. Why is it doing in such way? So basically it's going towards the gravity, no force opposing. It's kind of, coordinate, complementary, right? It can go faster, right? So get those elements right into your animation. So that could be much more interesting. But yeah, it's a good one. Let's see what we got on the next one. Yeah. So yeah, again, like, this is again like sort of a really like a good example for like a CG animation sort of a thing. Like, it's very like, animated sort of a driven. You want a little bit more extra details, like, you can't just drop this. And again, there is it's just a bare minimum studies when you're watching these things, right? So human are like, these guys are flat-footed. Human have the sort of arc within that, ball and roll. What is it? Ball and what? I forgot the name. So it's like basically this, right? So what is that? Toe? Yeah. So we have this sort of that's the feet, right? So that's the fingers there. You have like at least that sort of like, shape, isn't it? Like, we have this shape here, but when you see gorillas, they're like flat-footed, so they don't have that sort of a. Let me show. I'm not a 2D guy, so I can't really draw feet of gorilla and human. See, autocorrect. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. That's arch. Sorry, by the way, arch. So this is the arch. What we have normally. Look at this. They are really flat-footed. So it's always easy for us to like show the difference that he's actually, when you're doing human, you could actually lift like this and drop. When these guys are doing a bit more flat footed, at least for visually, they look like really, let me show in the reference what I mean by that. Look at that. All these things, right? Just looks like super flat. Look at that. Doesn't have a really huge, like a real, if it is a human, you should have that really nice arc and, you know, all the stuff like a little bit more. But these guys, look at that, mostly like, you know, look super flat footed, right? So I would definitely look into those details as well. And again, when you're dropping, I'm not expecting you to really do a bit, but at least like when you're actually dropping, right, the sideways, so drop onto the outer edge and then drop the front edge, or, you know, go into the this edge to go to that edge, not really like this. That's again animated, clean animation, great animation. What we don't want to look like is, don't make it like animation, make it like a little bit more living and breathable creature, right? We don't want just like, you know, we need to bring that extra naturalism. So that's what I would look into. And again, like yeah, if you see this guy, right, he's actually landing on this side of it, right? And then he can go the other side, not really like a CG coming and dropping there. So those elements, so try to change, you know, try to give like a little bit more, like again, if you see this guy, he's landing on this side of the feet, and that side of feet is gonna land after few frames. Look at that. Right, that's a small breakup, just brings the whole new naturalism to next level, literally, you know. So that's all we need, that's all we need. So yeah, so break down those references, you know, and then you can actually start animating that, and it can be really helpful. And again, there's of course, I'm not really sure, this is like on purpose or something. The shoulders capitalized like too big, like a cat's right now. I mean, it might be a impression, you know, how they're doing because of the amount of fur they have is looks like that, but it doesn't need to really like, look at that. He's not really doing such a big move there, right? On this one. So what we have is like a cat, like a really like, whoa, you know, it's too big. So that probably I would definitely avoid that. You know, we don't need to show, boom, look at that. So that's quite nice. And probably that's it. I wouldn't go like more than this. So it looks like very cattish sort of a creature and sort of, so I would avoid that if I were you. And yeah. And again, from the side view also, this balance slightly bothers me every time I see. I couldn't stop talking about that. It's just that like when you're trying to lift the leg, right? So you kind of bend your body also. It's from the side view. You kind of bend the body. You don't really like straight and lift the leg. You know, I can't see my leg, I'm lifting the leg, but you know, so you can't do that. So you kind of tend to balance because again, gravity. You push your bum, you bring your, you know, it's kind of again like side view, like sort of a balance as well, right? So that is something, you know, would like to see here, you know, like if you see the reference, you could actually see him, look at that. You see there's such a beautiful curve goes back, right? He's away from the camera, like spine is away from the camera. That sort of a shapes, I would definitely drive into this animation. Yeah, the shape growing on the bum is slightly weird, so I would tone it down a little bit. Yeah, the knuckles really, you know, could take the shot to next level, really. That's one thing. And yeah, so this is something I'm really like kind of, you know, wanted everybody to improvise on these things. It's you're actually like, you know, balancing on it, right? Even just a small move of this can actually make it happen, like, you know, roll and then come back, right? It's not just like if you have like this, you have such a tall, you know, ankle that kind of really does this knuckles, right? It's not just like, you know, the stopping, there's such a big space, big shape, doesn't move, like, you know, just like only it's happening from there, it's going to be really painful. Always give that sort of a thing and then come back, right? It's always painful without doing that. Look at that, it's like an animated sort of a thing, right? Imagine if you would have shifted a little bit more on that, right, like this, a bit more, and then come back a bit more on this, would have been much more interesting to watch. Bit of that, that's all it cares, no? We have tendency of leaving just like, you know, keep the foot there and then, you know, make the flat tangent and leave it there, and then, you know, easy job, you know. So we don't want to do that, but it's always nice to have that extra bit of love, you know, towards your animation. So work on those elements as well, can be really good. And again, right, So you are dropping your feet there, right? The front legs. And again, these guys are amazing guys. Like they can actually go bipedal and they can go quadrupedal as well, right? So, but again, they can't go biped for super long. They will like short distance, especially when they come to territorial angry and they're showing off and then kind of, to scare people and, just to show that's their area. So it's always nice to work with the creatures who have the sort of a really good blend of both, like not all the animals. Bears does that, not really for longer. They can just boom, 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 but that's about it. So yeah, every time you have this sort of emotions, right? So when you kind of land the feet like that, it's always give a bit of a bounce, right? So you're hitting the ground like that. It's a bit of a shake, travels back towards your body. So it's very hard not to see that. I know he's really like, not really thumping, like really like, stomping his feet, but he's just coming there. But still, there's a bit of a small wobble can happen. And these ones, right? This is like super locked. If you see the reference, it might look like locked, but it's highly impossible to just break like that. And, you can't really do that. Like, it looks like lock, but it's not lock 100%. So try avoiding those locks. And it looks like from here, look at that. This whole shape doesn't change. The whole shape is basically pivoting from there to there, from there, like that, to there. It's kind of just like pivoting from there to there, but it's not really shape change, right? So I would definitely avoid that. Definitely avoid. Like, I don't know, I'm not sure how is the difference. Yeah, if you see this is the illusion that it looks like exactly that he's been locked like that. But I would definitely don't go into like, especially locking in a CG area. So there should be some sort of a really nice bend or a soft sort of a thing, that would definitely help your animation, especially you want to avoid the clicks and, do those sort of elements. So it can be definitely helpful. And the other part, like this one, is a really good sharing the weight, right? So you kind of come there, you do this, kind of drop there. So which I'm sure it's missing in our animation. Look at that. And these two are like, again, CG, like, when you're kind of, stopping, you don't really like, stop like this unless I face that, right? So you're facing this way. So your body your feet tend to be in the similar direction. Unless you are really running or changing the direction, your feet doesn't go in another way, right? So it's always nice to have like, little bit more that direction rather than having this direction, right? And this is another like, CG element, like, keeping this straight. So I mean, anything for me, anything that looks more than 11 seconds, sorry, 11 frames, it's going to stick in your brain when you're watching it, right? So the pose will stick in your brain. I would definitely go there and tweak the pose. Anything for more than 11 frames, if you can actually see a creature or animal in one spot for longer time, I would spend some more time on that, because more than 1 second, it's almost like in a second, right? So your brains think like, wait a minute, there is something wrong I saw, but it's okay. It's animation is nice. But I would definitely try to give some really good shape there, and you are leaning there. So when you're actually trying to lean there, so you have this sort of arc goes on your body, right? So that would actually, I would try to look at that. So this sort of leaning the body, right? Because you are actually leaning on this. So you should be able to get that really cool shape there, right? So that is something I would definitely look at that, right? You're leaning towards this. So try to get that sort of a shape. It will definitely helpful. I really like this. This bit is fantastic, man. Really great job on that one. But again, like, it's different for different sizes and different animals anyway. But I'm not really sure, do we really need to go super close with the body there? So that could be avoided a bit. That could be a little bit more of this. It's definitely great to see, like, I don't call it as a negative space, but it's a bit more comfortable for him to understand, to drop that sort of a thing. Can be really helpful. Yeah, again, you kind of turn the entire foot in 3 frames. 1, 2, 3, and then done. And after that, the foot is in the same shape. We don't need to be, right? So we got like so many frames there, you know, we don't need like fix and then kind of a drop. So you can actually use all the frames to make it a little bit more, you know, blending into that pose, right? So take advantage of those elements, you know, look at that. Look, it's so clicky, isn't it? Like if I play that, boink, boink, super clicky, right? So just because we are now are not actually going right with our body mechanics. If you have to be honest with your body mechanics. Like when you're trying to peel off, that's not really, you can't do that, right? So it's gonna take some few frames from there and readjust yourself, you know, towards this balance here, right? So yeah, so those sort of simple elements can change your animation. You don't need to tweak animation if you're really honest with your animation. No, sorry, in terms of body mechanics. So yeah, I would definitely look into that. Those are not the sort of a clicks, but it's just that, you know, understanding the right body mechanics, how it can support, how the feet can support your you know, body, and how the body is supporting your feet. So both the ways, right? You have to make sure that those are big shape changes kind of hurt your animation. So I would take that for now. And I look at this, because of that fault there, what you have done, instead of this, you are actually going down from there. It's going to drop like that, such a big drop, right? So yeah, so I would definitely like, let me see how is it looking here. Yeah, it's kind of really nice, right? So it kind of goes very well shaped. I would say like very well pronounced like that. So yeah, apart from that, it's looking good. That's looking good. Yeah, so it's like you're loosening up. Like right now you're there, right? So you're loosening up your arm. Look at the shoulder, it doesn't react at all. Look at the shoulder, doesn't react. So it got to have that sort of a bend coming over, and you know, and you're showing the bend here, but it would have been nice to show in the camera as well. It could be right body mechanics, but it would be nice to show that. And again, look at that. It's very hard to have not to have the shape change, right? It's kind of really slides in, slides out. So we just have to have that sort of a small drags, and you know, these guys are not doing anything. So it would be nice to put them to the work. And the whole body is like, you know, my elbow is backwards, right? This is really like, this is super uncomfortable. Most of the time, this is how the shape goes, right? We don't want to do this. It's really painful unless you are in the middle of the action. You are in a rest position, you wouldn't be doing this. So yeah, so try to bring it back a little bit more, can be helpful. Yeah, overall, I think, look at this. There is a shoulder animation here, which is nice and sweet, right? That's beautiful stuff. That this, it kind of really works well, you know, goes out, comes in, and there's a really like kind of, you know, a good movement here, which is great. But this guy is like, you know, oh no, that's my, you know, right shoulder is my favorite shoulder. I don't want to animate my left shoulder. It's not my favorite anymore. So it's not that, right? So yeah, get into those sort of details can be definitely helpful. And yeah, that's good. I really like that. So head turn is really good, and chest connection is really good. But that little bit is very natural, and I really like it. But again, like, you know, like we discussed in the beginning, there is a shape change here on this fingers. It's beautiful, but I would definitely love to see here a bit of a drag, you know, just a bit of a drag, and then kind of, you know, a bit more interaction with the body would be really good. So simple things like that can be definitely helpful. And roughly, let me compare the reference, how it look overall. Yeah, overall, so that's a beautiful shape there. You know, we missed it here. I can't draw on this one. Okay, cool. So that's something we missed there, right? So the overall shape, right? Overall shape, it's like this. If you see overall, it's like this sort of arrow, but we are like straight arrow. So that's the body mechanics we kind of missed. Is there anything we can borrow from the reference mainly? Yeah. And the walking style, right, is something really, you know, we could improvise here. You're walking like a biped, but they kind of come inside like this and then drop very clearly when you see them. So that is something we are missing in our guy, you know, just, it's not missing, but it's not very evident there. So it could be nice, like if you see here, you can actually see that he's actually going away from the, you know, camera. So that is something we could actually look into. Yeah. And again, like, you know, these are the head turns, right? So when you do the head turns, right, same thing, like you're going towards the gravity, so slightly sharper, and then kind of come back there. So not just like that. So very, that's what they call arcs, right? It's not just an arc, it's just like that you are holding your neck and then you are turning back, right? So when you're trying to do the head turn, it's always the head is there, it's not go there, right? You pull the head up and then you go down, kind of stop. Like when you're leaving it, like when you're coming to slow down, you're going to relax your muscles here on the back, right? So they're going to come down, right? When you're coming down, it's slightly sharper and then kind of hold back again. So that leaving of engaging and non-engaging muscles is what something gives that really nice arc. So it would be really nice to see that comes down and then looks around again. So those are the little elements I think I would pick up. And that's good. That's a really good body mechanics there. It's quite nice. Same thing, like I think overall, like what we discussed on the elbows, right? So they're not really responsive enough, but when you're dropping the feet and stuff, same thing. These guys, like what do you call knees, they're not really responsive enough as well, when you're dropping the. This is good. That's good. Boom. That's good. That's quite nice. But again, like I think slightly too sharper, but that's really good. But again, like but when you're dropping that, even this guy should give a bit of a reaction as well, just a tiny sort of reaction, especially on the weight shifts. And then there, like how we're going to react there, that bit is good. This bit here, so give a bit of reactions on those guys. So when you're trying to do this, right, so you're kind of leaning forward. Like if you see my head kind of does a really good overlap job, even if I'm like straight, and then if I do the like bit of a nice overlap job, right? So that's something we're missing there. He feels a bit more like a rigid and yeah. So I would definitely look into those areas. I like this one. This one is really good. Great job, Karim, on that one. Fantastic work, man. Like it. Nice. So yeah, overall, right? Every time you animate something, just look for how my head, chest, legs are reacting. Are they really doing a great job? Hip, chest, head, and legs. That will give you a smoother animation. After that, go to reference back again. Always cross-check with the reference, how closely we can go to the reference and bring those extra details towards our animation. So that's how I would do my polish. But yeah, good job, guys. Nice one. Great. Anybody have any questions before we jump into the birdie? I hope everybody enjoyed the session on this guy. Is Karim here at least now? No? No, I don't think so. Yeah. Cool. I want to ask him his workflow, so it could be really helpful for you guys, how you would animate and see. But yeah, anyway, so let me get this guy name right. I don't want it to like sound like idiot here. So let me. I know that's somewhere I saw him, or maybe. Oh yeah.
Yeah, his name is Devashish. Dhanu. His name is Devashish.
Devashish. Okay.
Yeah.
Devashish. Really?
Devashish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me sent invitations or maybe some. Yeah, just cross checking one more time. I'm just looking. The first name is easy to pronounce, and the second name is easy to pronounce. So yeah, Devashish Chapier. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna call Deb for now, maybe. So yeah, man, Deb, are you around? I don't think he's around as well. There is another Devashish. Devashish dance. Okay, he's a CAW student, right? Hey, Devashish, how are you, man? Is there any other? Okay, no, he's not there as well. Okay, cool, no problem. So congratulations, Deb. It's a really good job, man. Really nice one. Really like that liveliness on that bird. That's something really stand out very well when I saw your animation. It's a fantastic job on that. But there are a few little things, right? I would definitely, keep in mind to just try to improvise. But this reaction is fantastic. That's something adds a lot of value for the shot. Point. I like that, they're all kind of flying off, with this wind and stuff, turbulence and stuff. It's really great. It's a good sense of thinking in that way. But yeah, so overall animation wise, right, there are a few things I would definitely cross check within what is this, Sandeep? I didn't understand your comment there. When do Warner Brothers animation? Yeah, can you elaborate the comment? I don't understand the comment. Yeah, cool. I know JD. JD is ILM guy, right? So I know him. Yeah, he's a great guy. I know him in the sense like I know him from his videos, not personally. Cool. But I like his videos. They're really fantastic, very more motivative videos and stuff. Okay, cool. Great. So yeah, there are a few things I would definitely, again, the one of the good thing or bad thing about this reference is the wings. Wings are really like goes off really badly with the motion blur. It's always tricky to get the wings right as well, and it's too these are sparrows, right? They're not really like in a goose or like other flying big cranes or something where you could actually see a huge movement on the body. But I would definitely keep in that mind. I will show some slow-mo videos as well so that you can get an understanding like how we could actually improvise a little bit more on the body overall. But yeah, so apart from that, the whole shot is looking great, man. There are a few things most of the time in the birds, right? Their head, they start with the head and lock the head and try to readjust the body towards the head where they're actually looking, and then come back again, and that's how you see the breakup, right? Like here, the similar stuff, like when you're actually dropping, like boom. I love the way you kept the head really, but I just for a camera, for sake of say doing it, I would just bring the beak a little bit more toward. Just turning the head would actually help you a lot. And we just lost that. This is like sort of a golden 2D sort of rules, right? The camera. But yeah, so would have been much more nice to actually see that thing, a bit more would have been nice, but it's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong about that. So yeah, the layers of the head animation, right? I like the way you kept it really nice, and then this bit could have been much more interesting. Like they don't really turn the whole body. Of course, we have the COG control. We can just turn the entire thing. Like this is where the rig is kind of betrays animators workflow sometimes. So we kind of take it granted, like it's easy way to animate and then do it, but it's just that we fail to see how the body reacts, right, for that control. So it's just kind of everything goes together, and then it's going to give you the complications a lot. So yeah, that would be great. Like especially here, I would really love to see to have the head rotated and then easing the head, and then the body follows him. Would have been much more interesting. So they make the, like, again, before coming down, it would have been nice to have some sort of a good reaction on the head to get the what do you call, like what do you call it, meditation making before he drops down. So I like the way you kind of kept this up in the air for a hold, and then you're trying to recover the body, which is great. But would have been nice to see the body is kind of coming from there to there, just rotation by hanging the head. The body can do this, like by keeping the head. Like I'll show some reference in a minute, so then you can actually see that. Sorry guys, I'm hearing my daughter. She's gonna barge in anytime. I'm gonna drop her back if she's only 3.5 years old, so doesn't listen anything. So yeah. I really like those head movements, man. Really great job on that. So one little tip I can give you here, just to make sure that when you're doing those sort of moves, right, it's absolutely fantastic that you have done this job. That bit, like one frame, huge, beautiful. I like it. Don't kill it. Don't kill it. So if you see that, there is a bit of the turn, right? And then just your graph on this rotation, whichever, like Y, whichever it is based on your rig. So don't kill it. So try to, like, ease it. Maybe like, what we can do is like this, the graph, right? You could actually ease into this and then can come back like that. So don't, of course, it might lose a bit of a sharpness, but still, towards the edge, right? So just keep it live. Don't want like just like sinking in there, or maybe sink in and come back again. Or other one is like probably you could be doing this. So just come down and then raise up again. So you kind of have that small move, like, we have to observe the momentum. We can't kill the momentum straight away. And it adds a smear frames in technical terms, animation terms, and it allows you that smoothness, right? And again, not just one side rotation. Bit of that as well. When you stop this, your head can do this and come back. Tiny, tiny movement. What it does is it gives you a natural momentum of absorbing the momentum, right? So natural way of doing the head turns. We don't do in, or anybody don't do in one axis. It's always painful. So add a bit of that rotation as well can be helpful. So that is something I would apply throughout the shot. It adds up a little bit more smear frames, right? That could be good. And other thing, right? Whenever like any animal, right? Any bird, any animal, right before you drop the ground, right? You wanted to reach the ground first and then absorb the weight, like absorb the weight. We don't want it to like go there and then drop within, like that sort of a thing. Like if you see here, it's always nice to reach without reaching from there to there. Boom, the drop. Unless if you're somebody holding on a rope, it's just gonna splash like that. Always reach, because you wanted to absorb as much as impact as possible in a smooth way, engaging your knees and your thighs, right? You don't want it to just drop like that. So that is something. And yeah, this like looks really painful actually. I'm not really sure, do we need to really leave this 100%? Because there is, when you see the birds, right, it's kind of really goes like, this is the, what do you call it, nail, right? Let's say this is the nail, kind of goes to the ground, it kind of stays there. It's always nice to have this sort of a small movements, because they have a lengthy fingers, right? So they're always cushioning in, cushioning out based on the body movements, isn't it? So that could have been really nice. And yeah, this sort of a breaking shape doesn't really help. Would have been nice to bring a little bit more of, either bringing closer by, just a bit of that, like that, could have been much more interesting. But yeah, just avoid that sort of a breaking mechanism and try to bring the, elbow, sorry, knee out or sort of. And again, birds legs, that doesn't do this actually. If you see inside, basically all they have is the same like a humans also, upper leg, lower leg, and then this is the ankle, right? So they have this structure, but only thing is they have a lengthier, sort of ankles, lengthier sort of a lower legs. So treat bird also, like if you see chicken, right, you can actually see the thigh, right? But it's been covered by the fur. It looks like always that's the leg for the bird, right? No, that's not the legs. Actually, there is a hidden thing which is always, we don't see, but we see from here because of the fur and stuff. We're gonna see only this much. So yeah, it looks like they have this like completely opposite to the human, but they're not opposite to human. They're also similar way. They also absorb the body weight in a similar way. You're dropping on this legs, this upper leg, lower leg, and the ankle has to work together. So yeah, try to keep that in mind. I have seen like the other guys animating, oh, this is like, opposite to the human sort of a legs, and like, no, that doesn't really work like that. It has to be like a human legs as well. But yeah, let's see how the, yeah, again, the another thing here, I would, it's very difficult to show here. Like, I'm not really sure how much we have a rig control here on the tail, but the tail contributes a lot of value to the, maneuvers and, whatever the body motion happens, especially when you're landing, when you take off, when you're maneuvering. So we have to put the tail to the work as well, right? So if you don't know how to put that to work, probably understand what some slow motion birds, like how the tail would react, right? These guys are like super flicky, super fast. It's very hard to understand, but try to understand big birds. They can be really, really helpful. I'll show in a bit how does they kind of help you and work as well. There is a small video actually I have downloaded right before this session. On that one. Okay, I'm not able to get that reference. Let me see if I can pick up the CAW contest. You have April and March with the reference videos. Oh yeah, there you go. So this is something like, I found something online really quickly, but look at this. If you see the relationship between the wings and the tail, right? It kind of like a seesaw flows in the body. Look at that. You're, the scene, look at that. Kind of really good breakup, like especially when they're actually helping on flying. It kind of comes down and then wings can come down. Like, they kind of expand, like, with really good way, but, with a really good offset. And how does he actually, even it helps the reference, like helps the body is this, look at that. That bit. There is another video I have done a class I can actually show you in a bit, but just watch these guys for a bit, just to understand what we could actually improvise in our animation. Look at the tail is how much is actually helping to support that, right? That fall there. And just watch the relationship. Yeah, look at this guy. There's a subtle movement, right? Kind of compresses, opens with the fly. It's not just doing right because of the, it's actually a balancing activity as well at the same time. And what is actually happening to the head and the chest and the tail? Look at that. And how do you measure it? By the wings. So simple body mechanics, right? So when you go against the wind, your body drops. When you bring the air underneath your wings, your body goes up. So that's the lift, right? And the drop. Thrust is again like, going forward, different thing. But for now, when you're doing this, it's nice to coordinate your chest and the body and the tail with your wings, which is easy to see in a big birds. Now the birds like what you have just animated there, it's a bit tricky, but always try to showcase essence of it. If you can actually put that one, then the shot is going to look really good. Look at the amount of, look at the legs, look at the body, like, the swinging with the, wings, right? So that is something we kind of missed in here, I mean, we didn't really miss, but it's just that, we didn't have a great opportunity to show. But I always keep, if I have to go in a slow, slow motion in your shot, or maybe like, frame by frame, we could see that, wings are moving on its own. And there is other bird here. Look at this. The way the contribution of the tail, it's never still there, right? Never still there. There's always like, breathable sort of like expression coming in from the tail as well, with the wings coordinating. So that is something I would definitely try to include in your animation. Like if you see even there, after that it's kind of goes really quiet. You had a better opportunity here, right? So that is something I would have actually taken advantage of. I'm not sure how is the reference, by the way. Is reference still as, oh yeah, look at this. That's where it kind of really opens. But again, like, you were in this angle, but when you see from the down, probably they kind of have that nice open mechanism there. And these guys are like, again here, it's not the same as this, right? So they kind of really gets a bit more like fan, open the fan a bit more. So yeah, look at this. You have this, you have the head going first, and then the body turns later, and then body stills, like, kind of like you turn the head and the body kind of drifts around that. So head is still, right? Kind of, they have this gyroscopic sort of a vision, right? So they can keep their head really still. So that is something, which we could, from the top view, could have been much more taken advantage of. You could use the turn and then use that to drop down. So that breakup was really crucial to see here. What we are doing is we turn here, which is good, but you're descending already, which is a bit tricky. Like, you could have actually done this entire thing and then drop. So that could have been much more interesting to see. And again, like, we have to contribute your, tail as well, while you're dropping. Like if you see the other reference, what I was showing here. Look at this guy. It's really minor stuff. bit of that, bit of opening the fan. Would have been much more interesting to get that. I really like that body, man. It's fantastic. This is something I want to show you here as well, like, right? So no, not this one. Maybe is it in my link? This is for every bird. Trust me, it's a beautiful way of, you know, animating the birds. But let me find. Oh yeah, this reference is a beautiful reference to understand how body and head reaction, right? Look at the relationship between them. If I had to play this in a slow motion, I don't know if I can actually play, but I think I can. Super fast, sorry. 11 frames. Yeah, check this out. I don't know how it's playing for you guys, a bit choppy or not. When it's records, then you can actually see, like, in my screen, I'm recording anyway. Look at that bit, right? Just a small head down. Look at how the body is reacting, and then kind of goes back and come back, but head is still stiff and still almost, it's always the body is correcting your head, right? So your head does the move, and then your body is trying to correct that head move, and then try to get a balance. And this is a beautiful sort of, like, you know, overlap happens on the body. Look at that. Every move, small turn, it's kind of readjust. You do this, kind of readjust. So that is something, you know, really beautiful about the birds. Even here, like, you know, when you see the head comes up, look at the body and the wings and the tail, kind of readjusting the body. Like, this is still, but this beautiful shape, right? So those are the ones we definitely would like to hit you when you're animating any bird animation. So try to watch them in a really slow motion. That can be really helpful. And yeah, you can go with this one. Like, you know, I think he has done a really good job. But what I miss to see is coordinating the wings and the tail and the body up and down motions. But only what we have is the chest. So try to coordinate the rest of the body as well. Can be definitely helpful. And again, this could be the rig, or we didn't use the rig properly. I'm not really sure. So try to get that a beautiful shape, right? So it's a bit hard with the bird rigs, obviously, you know, even in VFX, you have to animate this, and that goes to the CFX, and those people will paint on top of it for that, just in the shapes and stuff. But yeah, so avoid as much as possible to get this one right. Yeah, so it looks like a box right now, to be honest. So where we should be seeing a little bit of more of that, right? And there was a little bit of a, you know, chance we could have figured it out, either rotating this guy or rotating anywhere, like, you know, where you can actually showcase that tail a bit more, you know. That could have been much more interesting to see. Of course, we had the reference, I think, the same way, I think, right? I don't know. Yeah, you see there's a bit of a chances there. The small flick is fantastic there on the tail when he comes down. So, you know, that sort of a small shape changes, you know, would have been much more interesting to watch. Look at that, there's a bit of a tail there, right? This we can actually take a bit of freedom in animation just to rotate towards other direction to show that. Would have been much more interesting. But yeah, oops, apart from that, it's looking great. Where is it? Yeah, see if you could work on the shapes, be definitely good. It's just that your animation looks very organic, but the shapes looks slightly geometrical. So if you could go away from that, would be definitely great. But again, like, you know, it could be something to do with the model or a rig, or we didn't use the rigs efficiently. It could be anything, right? Or it could be the time. So something like that, right? And again, we are using only like up and down. It's always nice to have some sort of expansion, like sort of panning thing would be great, good again. Yeah, even here, right, I would definitely love to see some sort of a breakdown on the head. Right now, it looks like somebody's pulling him with the rope. He's not really looking where he's going. So it would be really nice for you to actually see where you're going and decide where you're going, right? And that's probably too sharp turn, I think, too sharp turn. And again, everything goes together, right? It would have been nice if you could actually give a bit of a drag on them and then bit of an overlap on the feet and come back. And it's very hard, not to do that. So, and again, it's usual, like how we get carried away with our COG control, right? So it's always good to break up that. And I'm not sure what is this. It could be, oh, it's a wing. Yeah. So there is not much of a flying here where I can actually break down the flying because these guys are really flickery fast. So even then, right? So I would definitely look into the places where that's good. So sort of a 2D sort of a shape, right? Could have been much more interesting actually. And a bit of a breaks, maybe just a bit of a break. And then, yeah, it's gone already anyway. So it's very difficult to have a 2D sort of a shapes there. I understand completely. But there are places like this, right? So where you could actually can show that, you're kind of, you kind of have a bend there, and then you could actually have this one. And then, yeah, obviously that's great. And that's all looking great. But yeah, even here, if you see, right, body doesn't react for your wing flaps, which is what I was talking here. If you see any profile of that guy, yeah, this guy comes in, right? And look at this. Look at that, how much is actually kind of contributing, right? Head is still, but the body flows really well with that. So that is something I'm really looking forward to, seeing, especially in this bit. He's kind of really gone. Of course, more motion blur, and he's like kind of blur already in the reference, but it would be nice to see. And these guys, right? This is great. Pigeons can do that. Like they could actually have another thing to show. I don't know, somebody actually dropped this on the internet. It's a very good one. If you guys didn't actually have seen this before, watch this. I don't remember what's the name of this video, but you can actually search that in Vimeo. Somebody has done a really fantastic job getting this. But look at this, like how the body reacts and how the head stays really nice and still, and really quite a good way. So this is the thing what you're actually seeing there in the reference, like how they can glide. You would be really surprised how they can actually glide on going upwards, right? Glide can be really nice in a flat surface, but not really like look at that. All these things, right? All this like swinging in there, hanging in there, that can be really glide from there to there. And when they can use flop, they can use the flop while they're going up, and then they can actually glide and then glide, right? Look at that. All this they can glide and then flop, and they can glide and then flop and then glide. So understanding that with the right body mechanics, like how the body shape would really reacts, would have been really nice to actually showcase here. I know it's not really clear in the reference, but it would be nice to understand. When you're going up, it's a bit tricky. You need to coordinate a little bit with the flops. And what we are seeing here is this guy just going like this, even though it's a straight pen or a cube or something, right? It should be going, like, let's say, it should be going with this sort of following the arc. What we don't want to do is this. We don't want to do this. We have to make sure that we are actually following the arc. Especially here, it's a little tricky that we are going like this, but we are we're just going like that, just dipping. So I would definitely go towards that sort of a shape of the arc where we're going, right? So try to work on those simple things. It can really elevate your animation a little bit more nice. But apart from that, it's looking great, man. Yeah, check out the landing, right? Landing is really bothersome. Like, look at this, how much they're actually reaching. They're really reaching to take the impact in a soft manner where they can actually absorb the weight with the knees and the upper leg and lower leg, right? Look at that, beautiful. So what we don't want is come there like, like a rope shot and then drop like that. So try to reach as much as possible, even when you're jumping down on anything, right? Any sort of platform, any sort of height, you still try to reach the body, with the legs, you reach the legs and then kind of absorb the weight. So yeah, those elements can be really good. That's looking really good. I really like that what you have done with your front body, but I'm sure if I see your side view, could pick up like a lot of things to improvise. Like I really like what you're doing here. After you got up there, you kind of connected the body and the wings and tail. It's great, but this is a big move here. It doesn't have any reaction on the body. It's actually happening afterwards for breathing or kind of a thing, but not really on the big move. When you try to finish the move, that's not responding, but after that is responding. So those are the simple things could actually take the shot to next level. I like what you've done here. It's really nice on that little flicker or that really good overlaps on that one. Cool, looking great, man. Good shot. Bird sounds easy, but they're really pain in the ass, when you're actually working on the overlaps and stuff, because you need to connect the entire body, like what we just discussed over on that reference, right? So one, yeah, this is pretty good. Like I really like the connection there. You lifted the wing, you kind of lifting your body there, and that's pretty good. And again, like when you're dropping there, don't just drop in one frame and then dead. So it would be nice to have a bit of a adjusting and then come back, not just like come back is good and then don't dead. Kind of you can just overlap and then kind of readjust back is what something I feel like is missing overall. They're really rigid at this point of time. That's it, so try to massage a little bit more, like we just saw that reference, right? So if you see these guys, yeah, if you see the wings of this bird, it doesn't really stop anywhere, just like that. So constantly, right, on the bend, on the looking up, so constantly readjusting in, out, and up and down as well. So it's always that sort of a motion going on, right? So try to keep them alive. So that should be really good. I think this doesn't look really nice, isn't it, in the webinar, yoga girls? What are you doing here? So, sure. Yeah, the arc over the towards the end is a little bit weird. Apart from that, I think it's looking really good. So I just wanted to just point out a few things here in the webinar so that you guys know about how the tail would work really. I'll just show a few examples so that you can do a bit of a nice R&D on that. So how the performance of the tail can actually help, right? So extra lift. Look at that. If you see the slow motion, right? Look at that. It's kind of completely opposing the air, to slow down as well. And the based on how angle he's going to land, he's trying to steer the tail as well, right? It's not just there. I mean, this is only opportunity when you have the big birds like that, pigeon like that, a small tiny guy. It's not going to really help in a big way. But if you see this guy, look at that. Even in the glide, for balancing, like see how much is really readjusting himself, right? Such a simple thing, right? Look at that. Just a glide, basically. Look at the head is really still and watching things, but the entire body is like always readjusting. How is it going to readjust? With the feather, like with the properly wings and then the tail, right? So how the direction also changes. It steers up the direction as well. Check this one out. Look at the turn and look at the tail kind of contributing towards the body, right? Look at the angle of this tail again. So based on the turning, right? So you can't be just ignore that. So make sure that there is another one here. I don't know if you guys realize this before or not. Sometimes the center of gravity can shift on the birds, right? They can, when they're actually hanging on the hovering, right? Like a hummingbird, center of gravity will come onto the neck and the spine, like here sort of area, but they were flying there here, right? So that center of mass, right? So can be, look at this there. So you can actually see that, the help of the tail can be really to readjust that, to get the balance when the body is really down. Look at that. the way is kind of just going that way. Look at the way, he kind of steers with the tail, whoop, and then he can start going. So, I mean, these are the basic examples, So try to watch a little bit more and study a little bit more when you're animating any bird. Birds look simpler, easy, but they are really, really painful. So yeah, but apart from that, shot looks great, man. I love it. I would definitely look into a bit more closely into these guys. It's very, like, again, they don't really flat 100%. They should be a bit of that, and then that's mainly mostly for, like, if you want to see this very clearly, try watching eagles. They can be a little bit more thick, and you can see a little bit more a good difference there. But apart from that, I think I like this shot, man. Looks really good. Let me compare next to next, see what we could improvise overall. Yeah, look at this. He's going really in a straight direction, not really like this, but in our animation, he's actually, I can't draw in this one. That's interesting. So we are going this direction. So with him being like that, it's not really good. We have to go, like, whichever the direction is going in. Like, if he's going really straight, so keep the body really straight, not really like tilt, and then he can go do that, right? And that is the reason, like, if somebody might ask, like, how is he folding his wings and gliding? So I just showed you the reference how he's gliding. So that would be the gliding one I would definitely look into. But only pigeons can do, because they're like super lightweighted as well, right? So not really big birds can do that. So, and another thing, like, what we could have done here a little bit more is, like, this swing is beautiful before he goes the other side. Look at that, the tail and the balance of that. And after that, the swing is still continuously going on, right? So that is something, when he drops, you could actually see the difference of boink. Look at that. That's a beautiful stuff there. I know that you kind of replicated very well, which is really good. But it doesn't compute in the brain without going that direction. And then when you're dropping, it drops like this, and then kind of, in this axis. Look at that. And then this, right? So that means you have to have like a proper turn already, like a little bit more turn. I can't draw on this one. Would have been much more interesting. But otherwise, it's great, man. Looking great. It's just that, we lost a bit of, the shape here. So try to keep it a little bit more straight. And then most of that is using the head really stiff and then swinging that. That swings could have been much more interesting. Otherwise, it looks slightly flatter. But apart from that, entire stuff is looking good, man. I like it. Mainly, what I really like about the shot is the liveliness is really good, but try to coordinate with your wings and tail as well, not just only the chest and the upper body. So try to coordinate overall tail and the wings as well. So that would be really good. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Looking great. And you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Say again, sorry.
Yeah, do you want to do you have a plan to take a session with Kishore? Like, I like his facial animation, like you have done with Ryan and Abhishek Chandra.
Wait. I'm not actually looking at. I'm not able to hear you. Let me increase the.
Yeah,
Please say again.
yeah. Do you plan to take a session with Kishore Kumar for his animation, that facial animation, like you have done with Ryan and Abhishek Chandra?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to see?
Yeah. There is so much to like. This is realism, very like the facial animation is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe I will try to do one session with that one as well, because I'm actually trying to do 2 more sessions, like how to get your shots good in your showreel, that sort of a thing. And you're gonna do 1 more session to, you're gonna do this behind CAW sort of a behind the screen, like how we actually do the shots. We're gonna take 2 shots and we're gonna explain how we kind of progress from week 1, week 4, week 10, week 12, week 14, sort of a thing. But yeah, maybe we can keep that. I'm just getting busy these days. Otherwise, I would be like spending a little bit more time with you guys. But yeah, I should be doing that one. Yeah. Cool. Hey, Abhishek is here as well.
Hello.
Hey man, how's it going? You okay?
Great. I'm good. How are
Hey,
you?
Abhishek sir, how are you?
Good, Shadul. How are you?
Cool. Anybody have any questions? So it looks like
Yeah.
Dhanu,
There's
I
a
have a
question
question
inside.
when animating a mythical creature or some fantasy creature like we see in games. How can we get the reference for that? It's not like a normal creature we see around. Do we just look for similarity in other creatures? Okay. Yeah, basically like, if you pick up ArtStation, let's say probably here we can type some creature. Yeah. So if you pick up anyone, right? Let's say this guy have the wings and stuff, right? So Maria, she's done a fantastic job. So if you see this, right, I don't want to comment anything on this one. It's just that like, any creature you see, it's kind of what to call, similar to real life reference we can pick up, right? So without that, it's going to be really like, if you see any gaming character, right? Any gaming character, maybe gaming creatures. Yeah, it's not really helping here. Oh, that was better actually. Let's go into the other one. Yeah, if you pick up any of the creatures like this, right? So you could try to what to call, like, relate yourself with animals, right? So it's like a bit of a lion sort of a thing on the body, and then tail looks like a bit more like a crocodile to me. Like, if I have to animate, I would follow the reference of crocodile tail, and then a bit of a tiger with sort of a bird sort of head. So it's kind of a three major, and he got a wings also, right? So we could actually follow the big birds like vultures, or it could be a eagle sort of a reference, or osprey. You could use that as, it could be bat also, right? So I mean, we can pick up the reference by looks of it, like what sort of a creature looks like, how, and so those elements, right? So we have to understand our own sort of with the concept design basically, right? Even the concept art guys, right? So whatever they see, so whatever they design, right? So they keep few creatures in mind already, animals in mind, and then they would actually try to come up with an idea, right? They can't be just doing like, most of the time they relate with something or other thing else. So creatures, or creatures here. Concept. Sorry. Yeah, look at this. He looks like a bit of like, frog, again, like tadpole. Look at that. It's just kind of a tadpole, right? So it's already, there is a similarities. It's kind of a dog, and but at the same time you have a bit of a like wolfish sort of a thing, but you have the spine slightly bit more spiked up, like a cheetah sort of a thing. Any creature you see, you're gonna have like combination of all the like all the different animals in there, right? These look like, look at this. Any creature you pick up, right? So it's like a spider here most of the time, on crab legs, right? So they would definitely keep something in mind when they're actually animating. Look at this guy. He's kind of a chicken sort of a thing with a really long sort of a solid tail there, and you have a bit more birdish sort of a thing, right? I would just definitely try to, why is not going back actually? Yeah, so I would definitely keep that thing in mind before I jump into anything, like how does it look. And even if it's looking like a bit of a cat and a lion, and if you're actually animating like a dog, it doesn't go well, right? Because when you see, it's going to look like a cat sort of a features are already there in the creature, so try to follow the cat, but not really dogs, isn't it? So that's how I would pick up as a reference, like bits of everything together. And again, it's not going to be that simple, but yeah, overall try to understand, like, how much is we can actually pick up of a cat, how much we can pick up of a crocodile, how much we can pick up of a bird. So try to combination of that is you're again, like, if you have the really right understanding of body mechanics, you can combine them in a really seamless manner. So that's why animating animals are really crucial before you're animating creatures, big, different sort of like feature creatures. So yeah.
Yeah, I get your point. Thank you. Big fan of your work, and thank you for the session.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Thanks a lot. Great. So any more questions? But how is everybody doing otherwise? Good to see you all. Thank you so much. Wonderful session. Glad you all liked it. Somebody said there is 70 people, right? Look at this. It filtered down to like so many people. Cool. Great, guys. Any more questions for me? You guys are all okay? How is I don't think there is a bear coming up. I haven't seen any entries for the bear. I'm looking forward to see some bear animations as well. Let's see how it goes. I hope I'm recording the session right. Yeah, I'm recording. After all, this is like, oh my God. Last time it happened, I think last 2 months back, I think. Cool. Anyway, awesome, guys. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Good job. Keep doing really good stuff, and keep posting stuff for others. Thanks a lot, guys. See you there. Yeah. Bye.
See you.
Thank you, Dhanu.
Let's
Bye.
go on the other side of the wall on the class.